Now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Okay, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on the Borders and Borders hotline. 412-575-2600. I know one person who's going to love that new roller coaster at Kennywood. It's my wife, Lisa. She loves that stuff. I won't get near it, but it looks fascinating, and a lot of work yet to come to Kennywood, and that should make it very interesting this summer for sure. Speaking of roller coasters, we've been on a roller coaster ride with Le'Veon Bell for the last 2 years, and the ride finally came to an end. And there was a jumping off point, and this was it. Le'Veon Bell has decided to walk away from the Steelers completely, as you know. And if you did know, I don't know where you've been, because it's been the big topic around town for the last 2 years, in spurts. Nobody thought it'd come to this conclusion at the beginning of the year, but it did. And so now he is banking on getting big-time guaranteed money, although I still can't figure out how you can turn your back on $14.5 million. But he did. Paul Zeisser of the Post-Gazette and 93.7 The Fan is in studio with me tonight. And Zeisser, let's talk about this, because I still think this is a big gamble on his part. But I also think the Steelers would be better off with him from a depth point of view going down the stretch. And now if there is a major injury at all to James Conner, they're in a big situation when it comes to lack of depth at running back.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is if he doesn't get like 45 to 48 million guaranteed, then this was a waste of time. I mean, he just basically gave up.
And do you think he'll get that? Because
No, I don't. And I think he gave up $15 million, if you think about it. $15 million, basically. $14.5, $15 million. So you have to add that to whatever he gets next year. You have to subtract it. Well, if he only gets $30 million, say he gets a deal where he gets $30 million guaranteed, what was the point of this?
There is no point. You're a year older, too. And here's the other thing. If he had taken the deal the Steelers offered 2 years ago, remember?
Right.
He would be 2 years into it with as much guaranteed money as he's already thrown away, looking at a lot more. And they're not going to get rid of him unless he's hurt. Now, he's afraid of getting hurt, apparently. So it goes against
Even if he took this year's deal, Bob, okay? It was, what was it, about 35 million in the first 2 years is what it was, right?
Essentially.
So he made 12.5 last year, right?
He made 15 to 17.
Unless he had some, some career-ending type injury, he would have got through 2 years of this deal, which would mean over the last 3 years he made $47.5 million.
Right.
Like, I don't understand these guys.
Bad math.
You know, it's just, and so now you've given up $14.5 million. If you only get $30 or $31 million guaranteed or something like that, or worse, what if he gets? What if the best he can do is $25 million guaranteed?
Yeah. And you got to believe that there are teams out there that are going to have a lot of things to consider when it comes to risk. Number one, he's not a young running back like Todd Gurley. He's getting to the advanced part of a career for running backs, you would think, even though he's still young by general standards. Number two, he's one failed pot smoke away from being out of the league for a long time. And if you're giving guaranteed money to someone, that has to be part of the equation. And number three, what does it say about his willingness to try to win championships? Isn't that what players talk about all the time? He could have had everything here.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, to me, he had it all. And even if he just took the $14.5 million, between last year and this year, he made $27 million. Yep. And then, again, unless he has some sort of career-ending, injury, and those things, I understand they come along, and it happens from time to time, but how often really do they happen? Guys have season-ending injuries, but even if he went out, he took the $14.5 million and tore his ACL, he'd be back ready to play in March.
And someone would
someone would still give him a lot of money. So to me, I just think when you look at what he threw out the window, it doesn't make a lot of sense. That being said, it's America. You can do whatever you want to do.
That's what he's chosen to do. And I said we wouldn't talk too much about this, but we will tonight because it is the final chapter of this for now. 412-575-2600 is that number to call. Penguins were also in action tonight, and they lost again. They have one win in their last 7 games. The final tonight was 3-2 Jersey, and boy, they're really good when they have a lead after 2, dating back to 2016. 55, now 56, 0-13 when leading after 2. They just don't lose in regulation. And they did it again tonight to the Penguins. We'll talk about that and other stuff with you. All you have to do to get involved in this conversation is call 412-575-2600. That's the number of the Borders and Borders hotline on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW. We'll be right back.